And the first question it says, onions cost $1.85 per kilogram and potatoes cost 2.34 per kilogram. Sophie buys 2.4 kgs of onions and 4.5 kgs of potatoes. Work out how much change she receives from $20. So for onions, we're going to do 1.85 times 2.4. And that gives you the total cost for 2.4 kgs of onions, which is $4.44. And then for potatoes, we're going to do the same, multiply 4.5 with 2.34 to get the cost of 4.5 kgs of potatoes, and that is $10.53. So total spend would be 4.44 plus 10.53, and that gives us $14.97. So change would be 20 minus 14.97, and that gives us $5.03. So that's your answer. Then says Sophie gets on a bus at 10:47 and she gets off the bus 36 minutes later. Work out the time she gets off the bus. So to work out the time, to go from 10:47 to 10:50, that is 3 minutes. Then from 10:50, we're left with, if we're subtracting 3 minutes from 36, we're left with 33 minutes. So if we add 10 minutes to that, that's 11. That's 10 minutes. So now we're left with 23 minutes. That's 11:23. So this is all the 36 minutes from 10:47. So 11:23 is our answer. Part C says Sophie uses 2/3 of a liter of milk each day. Milk is sold in 2-liter bottles. Show that she needs at least 3 bottles to have enough milk for 7 days. So we need to show that she needs at least 3 bottles to have enough milk for 7 days. So if we find 2/3 of 7, because each milk she needs 2/3 of a liter. So for 7 days, she's going to need 2 or 3 times 7, which is 4.6 recurring liters. This is the amount of milk she needs for 7 days. Now milk is sold in 2-liter bottles. So if we divide 4.6 recurring by 2, that will give us the number of bottles she will need to last for 7 days. So that's 2.3 recurring. So yes, she does need at least 3 bottles because we can't have 2.3 recurring bottles, it has to be whole. So 3 bottles will be required. Part D says 1 month Helen sells phones and computers in the ratio. Number of phones is to number of computers 3:5. She sells 40 computers. Work out how many phones she sells. So if she's selling 40 computers, if we say the number of phones she sold is X, X over 40 is the same as the ratio 3/5. Because basically, if we simplify the number of phones as to number of computers she sold, that does give us the ratio. So they're the same. So X would be 3/5 times 40. And that gives us 3 times 8, which is 24. So she has sold 24 phones. Then in 2022, Helen sells 520 phones. In 2023, she sells 35% more phones than in 2022. Calculate the number of phones she sells in 2023. So we need to find 35% of 520 and then add the result to 520, or we can find 135% of 520. So if you find 135% of 520, that gives us 702. Or what you can do is do 520 plus 520 times 35 over 100. And that also equals to 702. Either way, your answer is correct. Then it says the television costs $840 in the USA. The same television costs 3,549 ringgits in Malaysia. The exchange rate is $1 equals to 4.2 ringgits. In which country is the television cheaper and by how many dollars? So let's convert both the quantities into dollars. We know that the cost of the television in the US is already given in dollars. So let's convert 3,549 into dollars. If $1 equals to 4.2 ringgits, so 1 ringgit would be 1 divided by 4.2. So for 3,549 ringgits, we multiply 3,549 by 1 over 4.2. And that leaves us with $845. So if we compare 845 with 840, we can obviously see that it's cheaper in the US and it's cheaper by $5 because 845 minus 840 equals to $5. Question 2 says from this list, write down an odd number. So an odd number is a number that ends with 1, 3, 5, or 7, which in this case is 117, 121, or 41. Either of these are correct. Then a factor of 28. Factor of 28 is 14, because 14 times 2 is 28. Then a square number over here is 121 because 11 squared is 11 times 11. So that's 121. A prime number is a number that divides by itself and 1, which in this case is 41. Then a multiple of 9. The multiple of 9 over is 117 because 117 divided by 9 is going to be 13. Write on the value of 5 to the power of 0. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. Write 60 as a product of its prime factors. So 60 splits down to 6 and 10. Now, it's not necessary that you have to split it down to 6 and 10. You can do 20 times 30, 30 times 2, 5 times 12, anything. 6 is 3 times 2. 10 is 5 times 2. Now, 3, 2, and 5 are prime numbers, which means we cannot further break these down. So we combine the similar ones. So it's 2 square times 3 times 5. This is 60 as a product of its prime factors. Then calculate the value of cube root of 157464. So plug this in the calculator and you should get the value of 54. Part E says by rounding each number in the calculation correct to one significant figure, find an estimate for the value. So 67.8 correct to one significant figure is 70. 2.38 correct to one significant figure is 2. 4.803 is 5. And 29.87 is 30. Now remember, in a significant figure, leading zeros don't count. This is why 70 is correct to one significant figure, because the 0 is not counted as a significant digit. If there is a 0 inside like non-zero numbers, then that 0 is counted as a significant number. 70 times 2 is 140 divided by 35. That gives us a value of 4. Then it says, which of these two numbers is larger? Give reason for your answer. So 9.78 times 10 to the power 8 and 2.04 times 10 to the power of 9. Out of these, 2.09 times 10 to the power of 9 is larger because 10 has a bigger power. Even though if you compare the numbers, you would think 9.78 is bigger than 2.04. But that's not what we're supposed to compare. We're supposed to compare the powers. And for the powers, we can see 9 is bigger than 8, which means this is bigger than the other one. Then it says calculate 1.732 times 10 to the power of 3 divided by 5.73 times 10 to the power of -1. Giving your answer in standard form. So 1.732 times 10 to the power of 3 is 1732. And it's divided by 5.73 times 10 to the power of -1, which is 0.573. So when we divide this, we get 3022.687. And in standard form, it's going to be 3.02 times 10 to the power of 3. Remember, for you to write a number in standard form, the first digit after which the decimal comes has to be a non-zero digit. If we're moving towards the left side, like the decimal, like over here, we moved 1, 2, 3 units, then we're adding 3 to the power. So over here, there was no 10. So 10 to the power, since we moved the decimal 3 units towards the left side, so the power of 10 becomes 3. So 3.02 times 10 to the power of 3. Two cars go around a track. One car completes each lap of the track in 96 seconds. The other car completes each lap in 120 seconds. Both cars start a lap together at 8:37. Find the next time when both cars start a lap together. So this question is for finding the lowest common multiple. So what we do is that we find the lowest common multiple of 96 and 120. So 96 and 120 both are divisible by 3, 32 and 40. 32 and 40 both are divisible by 8. So that's 4 and that's 5. 4 and 5 don't come in the same times table. So they get divided separately. So our LCM is going to be 3 times 8 times 4 times 5, which gives us 480. So 480 seconds. So if we convert 480 seconds into minutes, 480 divided by 60, and that gives us 8 minutes. So the next time they will lap together is going to be 8:43. That is the time. Question 3 says a sequence of shapes is made with squares and triangles. On the grid, draw shape 3. So we have 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3. This is our shape. Find the number of triangles in shape 5. So in the first shape, we have 4. Then we have 6. Then we have 8. So in the fourth shape, it will be 10 and then 12. 12 triangles. These are the first 4 terms of a sequence. Find the next 2 terms. So let's find the common difference first between 32 and 25, there's a common difference of -7. We're subtracting 7. Moving from 25 to 18, we're again subtracting 7. From 18 to 11, we're again subtracting 7. So for the next two terms, we will again subtract 7. That will give us 4. And again subtract 7. That gives us -3. So 4, -3. Then write down the term rule for this sequence, subtracting 7. Part C says find the nth term of the sequence. From 5 to 8, we're adding 3. From 8 to 11, we're adding 3. And from 11 to 14, we're again adding 3. So whatever the common difference is, we will multiply that by n. So we have 3n. And now if we use this as the nth term, T1 would be 3 times 1, which is 3. Now 3 is not the same as 5, which means to make it 5, we need to add 2 to 3n. So now if we try to find the third term using this, so T3 would be 3 times 3 plus 2, which is 9 plus 2, and that is 11. Same as the number in the sequence. Hence, our nth term for this sequence is 3n plus 2. Then it says find the nth term of this sequence. So for the nth term of this sequence, we can see that there's no common difference. However, we can see that they're all cube numbers. 1 cube, 2 cube, 3 cube, 4 cube, and so on. Which means the nth term is n cube. Because whatever the term is, like the number of the term, like wherever it's placed, we're cubing that number. So n cube is our answer for this. Question 4 says calculate the volume of a cylinder with radius 7.8 centimeters and height 15 centimeters. So that's pi r square h. Pi times 7.8 square times 15. And that gives us 2,867.02 centimeter cube. Then part B says the cube has a volume of 3,375 centimeter cube. Calculate the surface area of this cube. So a cube has all square faces, which means the lengths are exactly the same. So for the volume, the cube has the formula of x cube, x being the length of the cube. So this, all of these are x in this case. So 3,375 equals to x cube. Cube root of 3,375 gives us the value of x, which is going to be 15 centimeters. So now for the surface area, the formula is 6x squared. A cube has 6 faces and the area of one face is x squared. So 6 times 15 squared, and that gives us 1,350 centimeters square. That is your answer. Part C says area A equals to 37,000 centimeters square. Area B is 5.4 meters square. Which of these two areas is the larger? You must show all your working. So to compare whether A is big or B is big, we need to first convert them in the same metric units. One is in centimeter square and the other is meter square. It's easier to go from a bigger to a smaller unit than it is from a smaller to a bigger. Like most people find it easier to go from bigger to smaller unit. So if 1 meter equals to 100 centimeters, 1 meter square equals to 100 times 100, which is 10,000 centimeters square. So now if we convert 5.4 meters square into centimeters square, we'll do 5.4 times 10,000. And that gives us 54,000 centimeters square. Now if we convert A and B, we can clearly say that area B is bigger. Part D says the diagram shows a right angle triangle ABC. Calculate the angle ACB. This is the angle that we have to find. So we have AB, which is basically the opposite, AC, which is the hypotenuse. So keeping SOHCAHTOA in mind, we'll apply sine, because we have the opposite and hypotenuse, and they want us to find the angle. Sine theta equals to 7/15. Theta equals to sine inverse of 7/15. And that will give us the value of 27.82 degrees. Let's say the diagram shows a rectangle DEFG. DE is 12 centimeters, DF is 31.2 centimeters. Calculate the area of rectangle DEFG. So for us to calculate the area of the rectangle, we need the length EF or DG. For that, we're going to use the triangle DEF, which is a right angle triangle, because every rectangle has like right angles. So two lengths are given, third one is missing. We will use Pythagoras, where DF squared, the hypotenuse square, would equal to DE squared plus EF squared. So that's 31.2 squared equals to 12 squared plus x squared. So 31.2 squared minus 12 squared square root equals to x. So that's the square root of 829.44. And that leaves us with 28.8 centimeters for x, which is also EF. Now that we have EF, we can find the area of the rectangle. Is going to be 12 times 28.8, which will give us 345.6 centimeter square. Question 5 says students solve a puzzle by making guesses. The table shows the number of guesses that each of 40 students make. So we have a row for the number of guesses and then a row for the frequency. Find the mode. So mode is your highest frequency, and highest frequency is 12, which is for 5 guesses. So 5 is your mode. Then calculate the mean. Mean is sigma fx over sigma f. This is x, this is f, which means you multiply x and f for each, column, and then add the result. So that's 1 times 2 plus 2 times 4 plus 3 times 8 plus 4 times 7 plus 5 times 12 and plus 6 times 7. All of this is divided by total frequency, which is 40. So that will give us 164 over 40, which simplifies to 4.1. That is your mean. Then it says in another puzzle, each student gets a score. These are the scores for 12 students. So complete the stem and leaf diagram for the scores. So for tens, we have 11. No, wait, we have 10 first, then we have 11, then we have 14, and then we have 17. For 20s, we have 21 first, then we have 24 two times, then we have 26, 27, and 29. And for 30s, we just have 32. So that is your stem and leaf. The tens are on one side and the units are on the other side. Find the median. So median is your middle value. So in total, there are 12 students, which means the values in the middle are going to be 21 and 24. Because before 21, we have 4 values. Wait, I think I missed one. There's an 8 over here. Yeah, okay. So before 21, we have 10, 11, 14, 17, and 18, 5 values. And after 24, we have 24, 26, 27, 29, and 32, again 5 values. So 21 and 24 are right in the middle of the data set. So for the median, we find the average or the middle value between 21 and 24, which is basically going to be 22.5. So this is your median value. If it was an odd number data set, then whatever value is right in the middle of the data set, that would be your median. Part C says a different puzzle has 3 outcomes: win, draw, or lose. The table shows the outcomes for 30 students. Complete the pie chart to show this information. Complete the pie chart to show this information. So for this, we need to first find the angles. So for the angles, for the first one for win, we'll do 9 divided by the total students, 30, and then times it by 360, because sum of angles for a circle is 360. That gives us 108. Then for draw, we do 14 divided by 30 times 360, which gives us 168. And then for lose, it's 7 over 30 times 360, and that will give us 84 degrees. So now we have to draw these angles on the pie chart below. So what we'll do first is that we'll draw a circle. Let's say this is our circle. So now we'll use our protractor and ruler to draw these angles. So 108 is going to come over here. So we put this. That's 108. Then we draw a straight line over here. Now, next is 168. 168 is going to be over here. Like this, yeah. So that's 168. This is 168. This is 108. This is 84. So this is for win. This is for draw. And that is lose. This is how you draw your pie chart. Question 6 is a diagram shows a cuboid. On the 1 centimeter square grid, complete a net of this cuboid. One face has been drawn for you. This will be our 2x4 face. Then we have another 2x4. Then we have the 4x4. And then we have a 2x4 over here and a 2x4 over here. This is our net. Then part B says 3 regular pentagons meet at point A. Work out the value of x. So a pentagon has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. So to find the interior angle of a pentagon, we will do n minus 2 times 180 over n. Now n in this case is 5. So 5 minus 2 times 180 over 5. That gives us 108, which means this is 108, this is 108, and this is also 108. Why? Because it's a regular pentagon. So in a regular pentagon, all interior angles will be the same. So since angles at a point add up to 360, x would be 360 minus 108, minus 108, and then again minus 108. So that's going to give us 36 degrees as x. Then it says the diagram shows 2 parallel lines and 2 straight lines. Find the value of x. So if this is x, these two are 23 and 35. So x would be 23 plus 35, which is 58. Why is it 58? Because x and the sum of these two angles are corresponding angles. And corresponding angles are equal. This is corresponding to this. Then it says find the value of y. So for y, if this was 58, we can find this value by doing, if we call this z, z would be 180 minus 58, and that gives us 122 degrees. So this is 122. Now, if we look at this line over here, this is a transversal straight line, and these are our parallel lines. So now, y is corresponding to 122 plus 23, which means y would equal to 122 plus 23 because these are corresponding now. So that's going to give us 145 degrees. That's the value of y. Question 7 says, the universal set shows students in a group. M are the students who passed the mathematics test, and S are the students who passed the science test. 142 students are in the group. 105 passed the math test, and 82 passed the math test and the science test. So 82 will come in the middle because they passed both the tests. So if 105 are for the maths one, so just maths would be 105 minus 82, which gives us 23. So these are the students who just passed the maths test. Then it says 17 students do not pass maths or science. So these are outside. So to find for just science, we will subtract these from the total, which is 142. So 142 minus 23 minus 82 minus 17, and that gives us 20 students. So only 20 students just passed the science test. Then it says find the number of maths union science. So that means all of this and this, all of this. So that's going to be 82 plus 23 plus 20, which equals to 125. That's the answer. One of these students is picked at random. Find the probability that a student passes the science test but does not pass the mathematics test. So if he's passing just the science test, that's 20 people who only pass just the science test. So out of 142. So our probability is going to be 20 out of 142, which can be simplified to 10 over 71 as well. Part B says use set notation to describe the shaded region. Since it's only shaded in the common region between the two sets, that means it's A intersection B. Part C says in a town, the number of students N who take the science test is 10,600, correct to the nearest 100. Complete the statement about the value of N. So it's 10,600 to the nearest 100. So this is the degree of accuracy, 100. So we divide the degree of accuracy, 100, by 2, which gives us 50. So for the upper bound, we'll do 10,600 plus 50, which is 10,650. And for the lower bound, we will subtract 50 from 10,600, which will give us a value of 10,550. So it's bigger than 10,550, but less than 10,650. This is a table shows the number of students in another town who took the science test in 2022 and 2023. Calculate the percentage increase in the number of students from 2022 to 2023. So for the percentage increase, we'll do 17,064 minus 15,800 divided by 15,800 times by 100. The formula for percentage increase and decrease is new value minus old value divided by the old value and then times by 100. So new value is 17,064, old value is 15,800. So this leaves us with 8%. That's your answer. Then the number of students who took the mathematics test in 2022 is 18,400. The ratio number of students who passed is to the number of students who did not pass is 4:1. Work out the number of students who passed. So the ones who passed, that's going to be 4/5 times 18,400, which gives us 14,720 students. The reason why I wrote 4/5 is because if you look at the ratio, 4 represents the number of students who passed. So that's the numerator, And the denominator is always the sum of the values in the ratio. So 4 plus 1 is 5. Now 4/5 of the total is your number of students who passed. Total number of students is 18,400. Hence, we find 4/5 of 18,400. Then in question number 8, it says find the equation of the line L in the form of y equals to mx plus c. So for that, we need to find the slope and the y-intercept. Y-intercept is 2, so this is your c value. And for the slope, we can just find the rise over run for these two coordinates. This is 8 and 6. This is 0, 2. So the rise is by 4 and the run is 8. So m is 4/8, which is 1/2. So 1/2x plus 2 is our equation in the slope-intercept form. Complete the table of values for y equals to 8 minus 2x. So we substitute these x values in the equation to find the corresponding y values. So first, y equals to 8 minus 2 times 0. That's 8. And y equals to 8 minus 2 times 4. That is 0. Now they're asking us to draw the graph for this equation using these values. So the coordinates we have are 0, 8, 2, 4, and 4, 0. Zero, 8, 2, 4, and 4, 0. Connect the points. Then it's saying find the coordinates of the point where line L intersects the graph. So this is where they're intersecting. Two 2.4 and 3.2. Those are the coordinates. Complete the table of values for y equals to x squared minus 4x minus 4. The same thing, we substitute the x values to find the y value. Y equals to negative 1 squared minus 4 times negative 1 minus 4, which is 1 plus 4 minus 1. That's 1. Then same y equals to 1 squared minus 4 times 1 minus 4. That's 1 minus 4 minus 4, negative 7. Y equals to 3 squared minus 4 times 3 minus 4. 9 minus 12 minus 4. Negative 7 again. And lastly, y equals to 5 squared minus 4 times 5 minus 4. 25 minus 20 minus 4, and that is 1. These are our points. And in the next part, we're probably plotting them. Let's write down the coordinates. Negative 2 and 8. Negative 2 and 8. Negative 1 and 1. 0, negative 4. 1, negative 7. then 2, -8. Then 3, -7. 4, -4. 5, 1. And 6, 8. This is a quadratic graph. As neat as I can draw it. Then write on the equation of the line of symmetry, and then use a graph to solve the equation x squared minus 4x minus 4 equals to 0. So for the line of symmetry, it's pretty obvious. That is x equals to 2. Line of symmetry is always your x coordinate, not the y coordinate. So now if you draw that over here, that's this one. This is your line of symmetry. X equals to 2. And then finding the values when x squared minus 4x minus 4 is equal to 0. That means we draw a line at y equals to 0, which is the x-axis, and find the points of intersection. So it is this and this. So that's x equals to -0.8 for me, or 9, something around that. And x equals to 4.8, around those points, yeah. Once you'll draw it more neatly on the graphing paper, like you'll have a more accurate answer. But the range would be between -0.7 to -0.9, and then 4.7 to 4.9. So that's over here, it's the x equals to 2 and -0.8 and 4.8. Question 9 says, on the grid translate t by the vector -5, -4. That means we're moving 5 units to the left and 4 units down. -5, -4. So 5 units to the left for this is going to be at -2, and then 4 units down over here. This would be 5 units to the left is over here, and then 4 units down over here, and this would be over here. This is the translation after translated by the vector -5, -4. Then describe fully the single transmission that maps triangle T onto triangle A. That is a reflection in the line y equals to -1. Because we can see that the direction is opposite, and it's 2 units from the mirror line for the reflection and the original shape. So y equals to -1 is the mirror line, reflection in the line y equals to -1. Then describe fully the single transmission that maps triangle T onto triangle B. T onto B is a rotation 90 degrees anti-clockwise because it's in this direction, that's the anti-clockwise direction. And the origin is the center of rotation, because if we compare these 2 points, we can see that this point originally is 1 unit vertically and 1 unit horizontally away from the center. And for this, it's the same, 1 unit horizontally, 1 vertically. Similarly, for this, 4 horizontally, 1 vertically. But now for this one, it's opposite. It's 4 vertical and 1 horizontal. So when you're rotating like 90 degrees, like your horizontal and vertical distances swap for the points. So this one is a 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation. Rotation of 90 degrees anti-clockwise about the origin.